I'm Vastav from Max Planck Institute for Software Systems, and today I will be presenting Blueprint, a toolchain for generating easily changeable microservice applications for research use cases. If you've attended a talk on microservices before, perhaps yesterday, chances are you've probably seen this exact figure and not just this kind of figure to depict a microservice application. So to see what's really going on, let's put our detective hats on and take a closer look at a small part of a microservice application. In a microservice application, a typical microservice serves a single capability. For example, a compose post service in a social network application would only be responsible for creating posts. These services are loosely coupled and connected over the network. To orchestrate the execution, these services typically use common libraries and frameworks for adding desired features such as tracing. Something going on. So many technical difficulties. It's a little bit sad that my project doesn't actually fix the technical difficulties. Hey, there you go. We got this again. Whew. All right. In a microservice application, a typical microservice serves a single capability. For example, a compose post service in a social network would only be responsible for creating posts. These services are loosely coupled and are connected over the network. To orchestrate the execution, these services typically use common libraries and frameworks for adding desired features such as tracing or implementing communication frameworks such as gRPC. Microservice research requires making modifications to microservices. For example, to observe impact of queuing and queue back pressure, a researcher might want to change the specific communication framework from gRPC to Thrift. In another completely different scenario, another researcher might need to add new features such as retries or timeouts to be able to reproduce an emergent misbehavior like metastability failures. To support these changes, we have developed Blueprint. Blueprint is a compiler that allows users to easily change and modify varying aspects of a microservice application's design to generate different implementations. But you might be thinking at this point that microservices were supposed to be modular and reusable, so why do we need Blueprint again? Well, the answer to that question is that the application implementations today are inflexible. Let's see how exactly they're inflexible. So you might think that these things look neat and tidy, but in reality, an implementation of the service ends up looking a lot like this. If you find this daunting, then don't worry. This is just one part of one service in a popular open source microservice application. The actual implementation of the whole application is far more complicated. And the reason for that complication is that the various parts that comprise a microservice are tightly coupled in the implementation. Let's consider one of the functions as an example. This function just represents one outgoing call from compose post service to user service. But if you were to look at the code, you'd find it tough to find which specific call in this function does exactly that at first glance. And that's really because of the tight coupling. Here, majority of the code in this function has nothing to do with the outgoing call. It either is part of the extra features that are being applied to the service, such as tracing, or the concrete choices responsible for orchestrating the execution of the call, for example, client pools and Thrift. The outgoing call, as one might suspect, is just one line, but it is buried underneath an avalanche of unrelated code that has nothing to do with the internals of the function. Such coupling is pervasive in microservice systems today, and this pervasive coupling makes modifying microservices extremely time-consuming and difficult. The coupling really makes modifications to systems a high technical implementation effort. Some changes can be deep in the infrastructure. For example, even changing just one service from using Thrift to gRPC required more than 1,000 lines of code in an open source system. Some changes can also be cross-cutting. For example, a group of researchers needed to modify 1,300 lines of code to add X-trace support to a popular open source microservice system. This effort is further duplicated as these changes often need to be applied in multiple systems to obtain robustness of experimental results. Yet, these modifications are an important part of microservice research, as the pattern that emerges is that researchers need to iteratively configure, build, and deploy variants of microservice applications that change aspects of the system design to perform their experiments. Blueprint enables configure, build, deploy as a first-class use case for microservice researchers. Blueprint provides a set of abstractions to simplify implementing and modifying microservice applications and a novel compiler to easily generate corresponding implementations of the specified applications. As a result, Blueprint leads to 5 to 7x reduction in implementation effort of the application, as well as multiple orders of magnitude reduction in modification of systems. Now, for example, reconfiguring the whole system to completely change the RPC framework from gRPC to Thrift only requires one line of code change. Let's take a deep dive as to how Blueprint enables configure, build, deploy. Blueprint provides a set of abstractions to decompose an application into 3 independent pieces that represent a unique variant of an application. Blueprint provides a microservice-specific intermediate representation to represent these variants, which is then used by Blueprint's compiler to generate a variant implementation of a system. These generated systems can then be deployed and used for experimentation or as a target for evaluation. And researchers can iteratively perform these steps to generate as many variants as they require for carrying out their research. The key idea that enables Blueprint is that we can decouple a microservice application into 3 orthogonal pieces. So let's understand this decoupling with our ongoing social network application. First piece is the workflow logic. This is the application-level logic that models the end-to-end flow of executions in the system. One can imagine this to be a description of the system's functioning at a high level, whether this is a social network system, a reservation system, a food delivery system, or some other application. The second piece is the scaffolding. This is the collection of backends, frameworks, and libraries that orchestrate execution. Additionally, this also includes features such as tracing, replication, timeouts, and any other plugin or any other feature that one might want to add. The scaffolding logic is completely independent and orthogonal of the workflow and has no impact on the workflow itself. The final piece are the binding choices, which we call instantiations. These provide specific implementations of components, such as which cache to use, the choice of scaffolding, and choice of the particular RPC framework. Let's see how we convert this idea of decoupling into an abstraction that we can use. We basically separate these 3 pieces into 2 different input specifications. First, the workflow specification, which only contains the workflow logic. Second is the wiring specification, which contains the scaffolding and the instantiations. As you can already see, the number of nodes in the wiring specification have gone down since we can easily reuse the scaffolding pieces across services in an application and even across applications. But first, let's discuss the workflow specification in detail. The workflow specification defines the types of services in the application, as well as the behavior of the service types. This can include arbitrary libraries for implementing the behavior. The code snippet here shows an example of the definition of the compose post service in our social network application. The services interface here defines the interface that will be publicly available to other services to contact this client. The dependencies of this service type are passed as parameters to the constructor of the service type. In our service, it receives objects of type user service and post over service as parameters to its constructor. Each function exposed by this service can easily be implemented in a few lines, as it does not need to implement any of the scaffolding code. And the outgoing call from the example before is now just that, the outgoing call without any of the scaffolding code. As the workflow specification does not require any scaffolding code, this leads to a drastic reduction in the amount of code a user needs to manually write to implement an application. So that was the workflow specification. Now that we have that, we can use a wiring specification abstraction to describe the various scaffolding and instantiation components that one would like to apply to their workflow. The wiring specification declares instances, which can then be connected together to define the topology of the application. Features such as tracing and deployment, as well as the communication framework, can be independently applied, with different instantiations to specify the full variant of the application. So now, if we wanted to change gRPC to Thrift, we would only need to modify just one line of code. And changing any scaffolding or instantiation requires very few lines of code modifications. The workflow specification and the wiring specification are provided as input to our Blueprint compiler, which converts these input specifications into a generated implementation of a system. The compilation takes place as follows. First, the compiler converts these input specifications to a graph-based intermediate representation, where the edges encode dependencies between the instances, and the nodes represent concrete instances of services defined in the workflow specification, scaffolding pieces, instantiations, and namespaces. Next, the compiler generates the implementation from the intermediate representation using various plugins. Each plugin is responsible for generating a specific type of artifact. The intermediate representation abstraction guarantees that these plugins can be implemented independently. For more details, please refer to the paper. Blueprint is implemented in 10,000 lines of code, out of which 4,000 lines of Go code implement the core compiler abstractions, and the wiring specification is a Python-based DSL in around 800 lines of code. Currently, the Blueprint compiler provides first-class support for Go in workflow specifications. We evaluated Blueprint across many dimensions. Does Blueprint reduce programmer effort? Can Blueprint help researchers in doing microservice research? Are Blueprint-generated systems realistic? Is Blueprint easy to extend? What is the cost of using Blueprint? Today, we will only focus on the first two questions. For the rest of our results, please read the paper. To test if Blueprint reduces implementation effort, we implemented the 5 most popular open source systems used by researchers as Blueprint applications and compared the lines of code required to implement that same application. Here, I'm showing you the number of lines of code a user manually had to write to implement the original system. And in contrast, these are the lines of code that a user had to write to implement the Blueprint version of the same application with the same concrete choices. Blueprint applications require significantly less amount of manual code to implement a system, offering a 5 to 7x reduction. But Blueprint doesn't just reduce the effort to implement the systems, it also reduces the modification effort. So consider the scenario where you needed to change software design choices for improving performance for an application like Death Star Ventures' hotel reservation system. Changing the RPC framework from gRPC to Thrift required one line of code change. Changing the client pool size required a further one line of code change. And changing the granularity of deployment from multiple microservices to a single monolith required only 9 lines of code changes. Blueprint makes modifications easy by restricting the amount of changes required strictly to the wiring specification, allowing the compiler to do the heavy lifting. Now let's take a look as to how Blueprint helps researchers. To test this, we ask if Blueprint can help in researching emergent phenomenon. To exhibit these phenomena, we generate equivalent versions of 2 open source microservice systems and use these systems to generate different variant implementations and exercise the variants with different workloads. We showcase 2 different phenomena, metastability failures and cross-system inconsistency. Today, we will only focus on type 1 of metastability failures. For the others, please refer to the paper. Type 1 metastability failure occurs when a sudden spike in the workload overloads the system and causes more and more requests to time out. As more requests start timing out internally, the recovery mechanism kicks in, launching duplicate requests as retries. This causes a vicious cycle of retries and timeouts, causing the system to stay overloaded and enter a metastable state. But in our application, there is no timeouts and retries. So we could never actually see a type 1 metastability failure be exhibited from this specific configuration of the application. Adding retries and timeouts only requires 2 lines of code additions in our wiring specification, and when we build this system and run it with the workloads, we see that the system can now actually enter a metastable state. So now we've reproduced it, we obviously as researchers want to come up with a solution for this. A possible solution for this would be to add circuit breakers, which observes the failure rate of requests between a pair of services and blocks any new request for a short time period, allowing the system to recover. As you can see, there is absolutely no circuit breakers in this system. Adding circuit breakers only requires adding 1 line of code to the wiring specification to apply it to all of the connections in the system. This prevents load persistence, and when we build the system, we can see that with circuit breakers, the metastability failure goes away. Blueprint reduces the effort required by researchers to perform experiments. In conclusion, Blueprint provides a toolchain to configure, build, and deploy microservice applications, leading to a 5 to 7x reduction in implementation effort, requiring very few lines of code change to perform modifications. The artifact that we used in the paper for Blueprint is publicly available. We are also in the process of preparing Blueprint for its official release, where we are converting grad student research code to something that is, well, a little bit better than grad student research code. In the meantime, please join our Google group. More information is available at our website. We made Blueprint for the community, and we hope that you find a use for Blueprint in your research. Thank you.
Thank you for the talk. Great talk. So, yeah, on the left.
Hi, I'm Tyler from UIUC. Great talk, fantastic work. So I'm wondering basically, so what would be the challenge for applying this blueprint for generating like production-ready deployment? So one example, so one specific case I'm concerned is that the blueprints supposedly like whenever the user reconfigures the system, it generates a new deployment. And then one challenge is, I imagine, is that in production, you would have a microservice running, and then you probably don't want to redeploy the entire microservice. What would be the challenge or future direction for hot swap, for example, one component of the microservice?
I think you actually answered your own question there, because I think the answer really is that we basically want to be able to preserve part of the application while only making modifications to a little bit of, like a small portion of the application. And we're working towards that. Other than that, there's actually another different challenge, which is more like an organizational challenge rather than a technical one. And the reason is that in real microservice production systems, we have huge number of teams that have to coordinate together. And with our blueprint thing, we're sort of introducing a central dependency, right? Or a one single point of failure, so there's a synchronization overhead. I think that's a little bit more of a more interesting challenge, because that's not technical, so we have to figure that out with the developers to figure out how exactly can we expose these abstractions to them so that they can make use of the powerful features that we provide.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Hi, Michael.
Hi. Great talk. Love the work. I've wanted to see something like this for a while, so thank you. So I have 2 questions, but given that there's a line, you can pick which one you want to answer. Okay, so question 1 is like a philosophical, more high-level one, which is, could you imagine using your same framework, and how much work would it be for it to work in other things other than microservices? Like, how much of it is microservice specific? And the other question would be, it seems like there's actually an opportunity for even smaller specification, because there's kind of redundancy between, I forget what the first spec is and the second spec, but like the wiring tells you how to hook things together, but the specification in the other one like talks about the parameters you need, so that suggests that it's also implying how you hook things together. So you can pick which question you answer.
So the first question, I think that I've thought about that specific case, and when I attended your PLOS keynote, I turned to my friend and told you that if you swap out my operating system to microservices, it's very much like Blueprint. So I have thought about that, and I would love to chat more about that with you. Second question, I actually forgot what it was. But I think you're right that we can actually go for more general purpose abstractions as well. Like, let's say if we want an ad service, why do we have to write this ourselves? there's no reason. We have LLMs. Let them do that job. Like, we have to add machine learning somehow. I didn't use a single buzzword, man. Come on. Like, we have to do something here. Sorry.
One question upstairs from Dimitri.
Impressive work. So microservices is also about different languages,
Yes.
runtimes, right? So I wonder how well the system supports it, or how seamlessly it can be extended to support.
I think that it's an implementation challenge and not an abstraction challenge. You have to, I think if I had like 10 full-time developers, we can support all applications, but I'm not Google, so like I can't do that. I picked Go because I think it was very nice for like the kind of distributed system abstractions that we already think about, and it has all the libraries that you want, right? So the way that we've implemented the compiler, you could technically come and build in all the support for any other language, but it's a bit of an undertaking, right? Because now you're making things general purpose across languages as well.
Well, my question is like how easy it is to compose Python microservices, for example, with C++ microservices. So not so much of like one language.
Yeah. So that's exactly the thing. Right? Like, for example, if you would need, so the way we extend our compiler is by the interface of plugins or by the abstraction of plugins that I didn't go into the detail. So what you would need is a Python generation plugin as well as C++ generation plugin that could generate the source code or the things that you actually need to run them. Remember, these things are really connected over the network, right? So it doesn't really, that part would stay the same, but you still need like the core abstraction where like you have something to generate the source code in a specific language, right? I think that's where things will come into play, and that's the kind of implementation effort you would need to do. So it would just be like adding a plugin in the compiler. Thank you.
Last question.
Hello, Shubham from Berkeley. Great work. I was just wondering, like, doesn't it have the problem of abstracting too much? Like, you could have, like, for example, gRPC. You configured gRPC thinking that microservices would be using it in some way, but microservice really wants to use it in some other way. Maybe instead of request reply, it wants to use streaming or something. And then the developer would end up writing spaghetti code, just importing gRPC on his own and putting it in the application logic itself. Do you think this blueprint can help with that?
So there are a couple of things that you can do, right? So we want flexibility. So the first thing where a developer could implement their own side of things and expect Blueprint to compile the rest of it is actually something that we want to support, right? Because let's say if the developers already know that they want something fixed, there's no reason to go through the flexibility option, right? So that's one. The second thing is that with the abstractions that we have, let's say if you wanted to test out different configuration parameters, you would actually add it to the gRPC plugin in the compiler instead of like exposing it separately, right? Because then you make it reusable across the applications, and there's a lot of effort that I think that we need to make into like making things reusable, because the way we're doing things right now really makes it difficult for anyone or time consuming for anyone to do research. So technically both of these things should be supported, and there is no one right or wrong answer. And I think that if you have an abstraction that allows for both, is probably the best case scenario.
Okay, thank you.
Let's thank our speaker one more time.